You've been eating less, moving more, fasting consistently, and the weight still won't come off. Not because you're doing it wrong, not because you lack discipline, but because there is a biological force working against you that has nothing to do with calories or effort. It is invisible, it is silent, and it is operating inside your body right now. Most people have never heard it connected to fat loss. Most doctors never mention it in the context of weight. But the research from 2025 is unambiguous. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the most powerful drivers of fat storage in the human body. And until you address it, no diet, no fasting protocol, no exercise routine will work the way it should. But first, I need to tell you something that reframes everything you think you know about inflammation. Most people think inflammation is something obvious, a swollen ankle, a red infected cut, something you can see and feel. That kind of inflammation is acute. It appears, does its job, and resolves. But there is a second type of inflammation that is completely different. It is called chronic low-grade inflammation, and it produces no obvious symptoms, no swelling, no pain, no fever. It operates silently beneath the surface, too low to feel, too persistent to resolve on its own. And it is now understood to be one of the primary drivers of obesity, metabolic dysfunction, insulin resistance, and visceral fat accumulation. A 2025 review published in Nature Metabolism described chronic low-grade inflammation as a central mechanism linking modern lifestyle factors to metabolic disease, not a consequence of fat gain, but a cause of it. The inflammation comes first, the fat follows. Here's what chronic inflammation actually does to your fat cells, and this is where it gets genuinely surprising. Your fat cells are not passive storage containers. They are metabolically active organs that communicate with your immune system, your brain, and your hormones through chemical signals called cytokines. When chronic inflammation is present, your fat cells begin producing pro-inflammatory cytokines, particularly one called TNF-alpha and another called interleukin-6. These cytokines do something that directly blocks fat loss. They make your fat cells insulin resistant, which means when insulin levels drop during fasting, the signal that should tell your fat cells to release stored fat and send it to be burned, the fat cells don't respond properly. The door to fat release stays closed. You are fasting. Insulin is low, and the fat won't move. Not because fasting isn't working, because inflammation has locked the fat cells from the inside. Research published in Cell Metabolism in 2025 confirmed that adipose tissue inflammation directly impairs lipolysis, the breakdown of stored fat, independent of insulin levels, calorie intake, or exercise volume. The fat is locked, and the key is reducing inflammation. And now the twist that explains why this problem is so common and so consistently overlooked. Chronic low-grade inflammation is not caused by one thing. It is caused by the accumulated effect of multiple modern lifestyle factors, each of which seems minor individually, but compounds dramatically when combined. The first driver is ultra-processed food, not because of calories, because of seed oils, refined sugars, and artificial additives that directly activate inflammatory pathways in your gut lining. A 2025 study in Gut confirmed that a diet high in ultra-processed foods increased circulating inflammatory markers by up to 40% within just 4 weeks. The second driver is poor sleep. During deep sleep, your body runs anti-inflammatory repair protocols. When sleep is disrupted, those protocols don't complete. Inflammatory cytokines that should be cleared overnight persist into the next day. A single night of poor sleep measurably increases inflammation. Chronic poor sleep creates chronic inflammation. The third driver is visceral fat itself. Visceral fat, the deep abdominal fat around your organs, is one of the most pro-inflammatory tissues in the human body. It actively secretes inflammatory cytokines, which means the more visceral fat you carry, the more inflammation you produce. And the more inflammation you produce, the harder it becomes to lose the visceral fat. It is a self-reinforcing cycle. Fat drives inflammation. Inflammation locks the fat in place. Now here is where it gets really important, because this is the part most people never reach. Breaking the inflammation cycle requires targeting it from multiple directions simultaneously. Single interventions, cutting one food, adding one supplement, produce minimal results against chronic systemic inflammation. but 4 specific combined strategies have been shown in 2025 research to measurably reduce inflammatory markers and restore fat cell responsiveness within 4 to 8 weeks. The first strategy is eliminating seed oils. Canola, soybean, sunflower, corn, and cottonseed oils are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids. Your body requires a roughly equal ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids to maintain inflammatory balance. The modern Western diet delivers an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of approximately 15 to 1 or higher, compared to the ancestral ratio of roughly 4 to 1. This excess omega-6 drives chronic inflammation at the cellular level. Replacing seed oils with olive oil, butter, coconut oil, or avocado oil, all of which have more favorable fatty acid profiles, is one of the single most impactful dietary changes for reducing chronic inflammation. A 2025 trial in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition confirmed that replacing seed oils with olive oil for 8 weeks reduced inflammatory markers by 31% in adults with elevated baseline inflammation. The second strategy is omega-3 supplementation. EPA and DHA, the active forms of omega-3 found in fatty fish and fish oil, directly resolve inflammation through specialized molecules called resolvins and protectins. These molecules actively switch off inflammatory signaling rather than merely suppressing it. 2 grams of combined EPA and DHA daily from fatty fish 3 times per week or a high-quality fish oil supplement has been shown to measurably reduce TNF-alpha and interleukin-6 within 6 to 8 weeks. These are the exact cytokines that lock your fat cells and block lipolysis. The third strategy is time-restricted eating, combined with an anti-inflammatory eating window. Fasting itself has direct anti-inflammatory effects. During the fasting window, your body suppresses inflammatory cytokine production and activates autophagy, the cellular cleaning process that clears damaged pro-inflammatory proteins. But the eating window matters equally. Breaking your fast with ultra-processed foods reactivates inflammation immediately. Breaking your fast with whole foods, vegetables, fatty fish, eggs, olive oil, berries, extends the anti-inflammatory benefit of the fast into the fed state. Your fasting window creates the anti-inflammatory window. Your food choices determine how long it lasts. The fourth strategy is sleep protection. As we covered in a previous video, deep slow-wave sleep is where your body runs its primary anti-inflammatory repair protocols. Growth hormone surges, inflammatory cytokines are cleared, cell damage is repaired. When you consistently protect deep sleep, cool room, no screen 60 minutes before bed, no food 3 hours before bed, consistent sleep time, you are not just improving energy, you are running the anti-inflammatory reset that allows your fat cells to respond normally to fasting the next morning. And now, the final twist, the one that reframes everything about fat loss resistance. If you have been doing everything right, fasting, walking, eating clean, and the fat still won't move, chronic inflammation is almost certainly the missing variable. Not the only variable, but the one that overrides everything else. Because fat cells that are inflamed do not respond to fasting. They do not respond to calorie deficits. They do not respond to exercise. They are locked, and willpower cannot unlock them. Only reducing the inflammatory load on your fat tissue gives those cells back the biological ability to release stored fat. That is not a motivation problem. That is a biochemistry problem. And biochemistry problems have biochemistry solutions. Here is your anti-inflammation protocol starting today. Remove seed oils from your kitchen and replace with olive oil or butter. Add 2 grams of EPA and DHA daily from fish or fish oil. Break your fast with whole unprocessed foods. No packaged bars, no processed snacks, no vegetable oils. Protect your sleep tonight like the anti-inflammatory reset it actually is. Do these 4 things consistently for 4 weeks. Not as an experiment, as the foundation that makes everything else you are already doing finally work. Drop a comment right now and tell me, have you ever suspected inflammation was part of your problem? I want to know. And if this video finally explained why your results have felt stuck despite doing everything right, subscribe, because next week we are going deep on exactly what happens to your hormones when you combine fasting with strength training, and why this combination unlocks fat loss that neither approach achieves alone. You will not want to miss it.